Hi guys, welcome to the Premier League Betrayal of Newcastle Part 2. Yep. We're probably going to make this a series, guys, as people are saying. So, yep, we'll probably make like a playlist for it, so you click on one video and it'll go to the other videos. Yeah, so we've got more news this time on Newcastle takeover, haven't we, Granda?
Well, I find there's more questions for the Premier League to answer, and still the silence is deafening. But things that come to light once you start looking at this properly, some of them are horrendous, such as Amanda Stabley saying that the Premier League wanted the Saudi government to be registered as a director. Well, I find that absolutely incredible, because basically that is a small tail, a very small tail, which would be the Premier League as an organisation wagging a very large dog as the state of Saudi Arabia. So, you know, the impudence and arrogance of the Premier League to ask that is absolutely astounding. It's a bit like if we, the UK, were a director of the Premier League, and they want to the Premier League would want to admonish us. They would just ask the Queen and Boris Johnson to come along to get told off. Well, that would never happen. So I find it absolutely disgraceful that that's what they've done. Second question is, are the Premier League culpable in the piracy, which I don't agree with? Piracy is illegal and should be illegal, of course. But are the culpable in the Saudi piracy, in as much as they give the rights to beIN Sports, which is part of Al Jazeera, which is owned by the Emir of Qatar, they give them the rights in 2018. But in 2017, Arab and African countries got together against Qatar and the severed diplomatic relations, and basically they isolated the Qataris as a country. So that was done in 2017, but less than a year later the Premier League gave the rights to beIN Sports. So who in the Premier League ever thought the Saudis would allow beIN Sports to broadcast in their country after they've severed all relations with them and basically isolated them? So to me, the Premier League must have known about that, and there's only one reason that the Premier League still went down that route, turned a blind eye, is greed. Total greed, and that's the Premier League all over. I would also point out that in Qatar, at the same time, obviously the human rights of people that were building the third world country nationals were being not taken into account by the Premier League, as they obviously turned a blind eye to that. They didn't take into any account about the third country nationals who were building the World Cup stadiums. They just seem to have forgot about that. The next thing is the scrutiny of the bid. We seem to be our bid seems to have been forensically dissected, whereas obviously the other Premier League takeovers haven't been, or we wouldn't have, Chinese, UAE and Russians run Premier League clubs, because these people, don't come out everything squeaky clean either. So why was it Newcastle's bid so scrutinised? I find that incredible that we've had to wait 17 weeks and other bids have been rushed through. So that's another question that needs answered. And next, why have the other Premier League teams, especially Liverpool and Tottenham who have been named, so damnant that this deal doesn't go ahead? Now, I've been led to believe that in the Premier League is a vote each, and each Premier League team is equal. So why, and that the Premier League teams cannot interfere in any takeover. So why are the Premier League taking notice of what these teams are saying? What I would like to point out is the good work that's getting done by the NUST, putting pressure on Masters and his Premier League to try to get them to come clean on what's been going on. And actually also there's a great article by a lad called Mike Sersham that discloses that for years the Saudis have been sponsoring Manchester United for millions and millions of pounds. So why on earth, I know sponsorship's not the same as ownership, but why on earth does the Premier League not do anything about that? Still talking about smacking up double standards. Damn disgrace. Yet again, biased. But they're doing a great job, Newcastle supporters are putting pressure on the Premier League for answers, although we still haven't had anything. So I'm absolutely disgusted. And what I never thought would happen in my lifetime is Mike Ashley has been knocked off his perch as public enemy number one in the north, on Tyneside. He's now been replaced by Dick Hayton, head of the Premier League, as public enemy number one, who's vilified in this area. Thanks.
Yep.